Yeah, that's why. Yeah, it's 275 pounds. Okay. I was going to say $275. I checked that.
So we're all good, right? Well, yes, you'll have to let us know how it was, because that just sounds like a whole lot of fun. Whole lot of something. So I'm going to talk for a couple minutes, but then we will start practice in a reclined pose. So it can be reclined bound angle, or you can just lay back with your legs extended. So with the blocks propped up under the bolster to create kind of a little incline for yourself. So yeah, you just find the place. And so if you, yeah, whatever feels good for your legs, whatever feels good. I don't have music today. I forgot my iPad, so we'll make music together. Good morning, Amy. So today the niyama that we are working through is called, hold on, tapas, which is the idea of inner fire. So the fire that, when you think about when they burn fields to prepare them for planting, you're burning away what's dead, you're burning away what is not needed anymore, so that you can access like the truth of who you are. You can access growth, you can access your core. I remember growing up, and we would talk a lot, we would talk about the whole refining fire thing, how like with gold, they heat it up so the impurities rise to the surface, and then you scoop off the impurities, and then they heat it up again and you scoop off the impurities. That's the idea of tapas. So it's this idea of sometimes that fire comes from outside circumstances. So when you're going through difficult things, how many times have you gone through a difficult thing, and then at the end of it, you're like, I came out better on the other side. On the mat, we experience this by creating heat in our bodies. And so that heat in your body, especially in your, call it your solar plexus, your manipura, the energy center in the center of your body. When you heat that up, it allows the rest of you to open to who you really are, and the truth of who you are, and the commitment to who you want to be. So that is tapas. The hand position associated with it is called Garuda Mudra, which is where you basically take both hands open and raised to the ceiling, and then you just or pointed to the ceiling, and then you just cross them on top of each other. And to me, when you like push your hands into each other, you feel a little activation in your core, you feel a little activation in your arms. So we'll use this a couple different times today. But I wanted to start class in just a reclined, comfortable position. And we'll talk a little about the breath. So find yourself here. Notice whatever thoughts came with you today, whatever emotions came with you today, whatever challenges, whatever experiences you are having outside of this room. Can we, for the next hour, leave them outside of this room and just be here? Allow the mind to settle, noticing the points of connection between your body and the floor, between your body and itself. Just taking a moment to arrive here. As you find yourself here, I invite you to lengthen and deepen the breath. So breathing in deep through the nose and maybe opening the mouth and allowing an exhale to leave the body. Inhaling deep through the nose again, exhaling through the mouth. The next time you exhale through the mouth, I invite you to pretend that you're fogging up a mirror with the exhale. So you get this sound. As you continue in that, continuing to make that sound like you're fogging up a mirror, perhaps you could let the lips close, but still find that sensation as though you're fogging up a mirror. So breathing into the back of the throat, exhaling this Darth Vader mirror fogging sound, but with the lips closed. This is called your Ujjayi breath. It's a heat building breath. It connects you with your core. When you find yourself in a posture or a position, whether on your mat or off your mat, that you don't particularly want to be in, this is a great breath practice to help you to stay just a little bit longer. So breathing in through the nose, finding that sensation in the back of the throat, breathing out as though you're fogging up a mirror with the lips closed. Over the next few breaths, you can allow your breath to return to normal. Maybe blinking open the eyes. If the knees are open, perhaps you could draw them in toward each other. And you can either stay in this elevated position or roll off the props and push them to the side and come back to rest on your back. We're just going to start by windshield wipering the knees a little bit. So if you start in the inclined position and then you decide that it doesn't feel great, that's okay. So we'll start just by windshield wipering the knees a little bit so that finding yourself on your back with the knees bent, perhaps the feet are a little bit wider than hips distance out kind of toward the edge of the mat. And with the breath, on an exhale, allow the knees to fall to the right, the head to turn to the left. Inhaling through center. Exhaling the knees to the left, the head to the right. Inhaling through center. Exhaling the knees to the right, the head to the left. Continuing in this pattern for several more breaths, just in time with your breath, waking up the spine. Throughout practice today, I'll invite you to imagine that spot kind of halfway between the bottom of your rib cage, bottom of your sternum, and your belly button. It's what we call your manipura. And it's that source of inner strength, it's that source of inner fire. And we can draw our attention there, even in this gentle twisting position. Starts to wake the body up a little. Once you've completed both sides. Go ahead and bring your knees back to neutral, just pointed up toward the ceiling. We'll make little mini cat-cow movements with just the pelvis. So on an inhale, tilt the pelvis forward, allowing the hip points to move towards your knees, and you get an exaggerated space in the back, like a little exaggerated gap between your low back and the mat. And then on an exhale, tilt the pelvis backwards so your hip points move up towards your ribs and you close that gap underneath your low back. Inhaling the pelvis forward. Exhaling the pelvis backward. Inhaling the pelvis forward. Exhaling the pelvis backward. Just finding in your body that space and that movement. And then allowing the pelvis to rest at kind of a neutral middle ground. So there probably is a little bit of a gap between your low back and the mat, but it's not exaggerated. It's not completely pulled down. But in this space, breathe in deep through the nose. Blow out as though you are blowing through a straw. Find your lower core engage, and maybe that gap beneath your low back closes just a little bit. And bring both knees up to a 90-degree angle. Yep, so your shins should be parallel to the ceiling. From this position, you might already feel a significant amount of core engagement. If you'd like to take it a little bit further, you can allow one heel to dip down toward the mat and then to come back up to neutral. And then the other heel to dip toward the mat and then to come back to neutral. And then the other heel, continuing in this, focusing your attention on that Manipura place, that source of inner fire, as you feel the inner fire in your body. Finding that Ujjayi breath. We'll do maybe 3 more on each side. Awesome. Go ahead, just bring the knees in toward the chest for Apanasana or wind relieving pose, rocking back and forth along the low back. Coming back to neutral, finding that upside down tabletop position again with your knees so your shins are parallel to the ceiling. Take a deep breath in, exhale like you're blowing through a straw. Find the lower core engage. Lift the arms up toward the ceiling. And this time, if it's available to you, so you can just stay here, okay? If you would like to take a next step, you can dip the right heel and extend the left arm over your head on an inhale and exhale back to center. So alternate heel, alternate hand. On an inhale, you extend out. On an exhale, you come back to center. Noticing that if you hinge from the hip, you get a more of a core engagement than if you bend your knee to dip the heel. These are called dead bugs. It's really funny. Take 2 more on each side. And when you're done, bring your knees back into the chest. Rock back and forth along the low back. And then allow the knees to fall all the way over to the right. And then open your left shoulder back toward the mat for a gentle twist. That left arm can extend long. It can be on your rib cage, it can be on your shoulder. Breathing deep into the left side body. Exhaling to let the left shoulder sink a little bit more toward the mat. And on an inhale, we'll bring the knees back through center. And then on an exhale, we'll allow the knees to fall to the left and the right shoulder to open back toward the mat. Again, breathing deep into that right side body. Sometimes our confidence, our willingness to stay in things, to believe we can do them gets blocked. Twists are one of the ways that we open that up for ourselves. Inhaling the knees back to center. Allow the feet to find the mat, just right underneath the heels, right underneath the knees. Bring the arms long alongside your body, just like that. Yep. Inhaling to put a little bit more weight into the heels and lift the hips up toward the ceiling for a bridge pose. So we'll stay here for 5 to 8 breaths. You choose how long you want to be here. But when your body says, I'm done, can you give it maybe one more breath? When you are done, you can allow the hips to find the earth again. Nicely done, everybody. Everybody can come down to the earth. Draw the knees into the chest. Maybe rock back and forth a little bit or windshield wiper the knees. And then, if you would like, you can play with this idea of rocking yourself up to a seat and finding yourself balanced on your sits bones, or you can roll over to the side and come up to a seat. Once you're in a seat, you'll find your feet on the mat in front of you. Good morning. Sitting tall on the sits bones, shoulders down the back. We'll lean back on the sits bones. Inner fire right here at your core. Lifting one foot, second foot. Now remember, boat pose, you can have your feet down. This is a lot of engagement right here, right? It's more important that you keep the alignment in your low back. So don't do boat pose if you're like this. That's not boat pose. Sitting up, lifting the chest toward the place where the ceiling and the wall meet. 2 more breaths here, wherever you are. cross the feet and come down to a seat. I was like, what just happened? On an inhale, we'll lift the arms overhead. Exhale, we'll bring the left hand to the mat. Tilt over toward the left. That was really funny, Christy. Thank you for that. Breathing deep into that right side body. Inhaling back up to center, bringing that right hand to the left knee. The left hand finds the mat behind you, sitting up nice and tall. And then from your Manipura, from that place, twisting, that place between your sternum and your belly button, finding a twist. Unwinding to inhale the arms back overhead. Exhaling to bring the right hand to the mat. Making sure to keep that left sits bone grounded down into the mat. Notice your shoulder. Is it up by your ear? Probably doesn't need to be there. Let it go. Coming back up to center on an inhale, bringing the left hand to the right knee, the right hand behind you. Sitting up nice and tall. And then twisting again from your core. Inhaling to grow tall. Exhaling to release a little bit deeper into the twist. Inhaling back through center, we'll lift the arms up overhead. Exhale, reach as far forward as you can, and then allow the earth hands to find the mat for a forward fold. Walking the hands back toward the knees. We'll come over into a tabletop position. So with the hands, the wrists directly under the shoulders. So your index finger should probably be pointing straight forward from your mat. And then you kind of dial, or to the front of your mat. Sorry, my words are not great today. And then you like dial your hands outwards a little bit and feel your triceps rotate in toward the body, and you feel that engagement between your shoulder blades. Wonderful. From here, on an inhale, we'll drop the belly, lift the tail, lift the head. And then we'll exhale to press into the earth, curve the spine, and drop the head. Inhaling into our cow pose. Exhaling into our cat pose. Really imagine your body leading itself with that Manipura space, that space right in the middle of your core. Can that be the place that leads this movement? And then finding some stillness. We'll take the right foot behind us with the toes on the mat. Maybe rock back and forth a little bit to find a little bit of stretch and movement in the back of the leg. And coming back into stillness. We can lift the right toes off the mat, not left toes. That'd be really difficult to do. And then if you would like, drawing into that core, finding stability in the core, bring the left arm out in front. Looking straight down in front of your nose. So I don't want the head tilted up. Looking down so your spine is one long line from the crown of your head through the heel of that right foot. Another breath here. And then bring it all back down. Just rock the hips back and forth a little bit. Maybe go back and forth on the wrists. You can turn your hands around to stretch the wrists a little bit. Yeah, or out to the side and you just go back and forth. Coming back into table, we'll take the left foot behind us this time. Just taking a moment to stretch back and forth the back of that left leg. And then when you're ready, with the core engaged, and lift the left toes off the mat. And then lift the right arm off the mat, if that feels available to you. Great. looking down right in front of you. So the head is just an extension of the spine, one straight line. One more breath here. And then we'll bring it all back down. Just wiggle the hips a little bit. Maybe shake the wrists out. Coming back into table one more time. Maybe a couple more times. Take that right foot behind you again with the toes on the mat. This time, warrior prep that right foot, which means you turn so the foot's flat on the mat and parallel to the short edge of your mat. Rotate on that left knee so it goes to like a 90-degree angle. Does that make sense? And then lift your right arm up to the ceiling to find yourself in a side plank. Yeah. So keeping the left hand on the mat. You got it. Yeah. So take this foot. I'm going to rotate this. Yeah. Does that feel better? And then try to pull this in one line. Yep. So trying to find one line from the crown of your head all the way out through that right foot. You can stay here, or you can allow the right foot to float off the mat. Or you can stay right where you are. One more breath wherever you are. Finding your Ujjayi breath. Allow that right foot to find the mat. And then go ahead and just come up to stand on your left knee. Not stand, but come up right on your left knee. Yeah, it's kind of hard for you guys to see me over here. I'll come over. I'll come right here. How about this? It's nice to have a full class. Okay, so you're standing up on your left knee. We're gonna bring the left arm up overhead. You can point the toes of your right foot up toward the ceiling, and we'll just laterally stretch over toward the right foot. Does that make sense? Yeah. Another breath here. Coming back upright, both arms overhead. Let those toes find the earth again. And then we're going to forward fold from here. Yep. Sorry, Amy, my butt is in your face. Like Holland. So you can go as far as feels comfortable to you. You can bring the forearms to the mat. You can bring the arms to the mat. But you should find a pretty deep stretch on the inside of that right leg. You can come down to blocks. Finding that Ujjayi breath, sending the breath to the inside of that right leg. Beautiful. Coming back upright and just bring yourself back into a tabletop position. Finding yourself stable again, finding the engagement of the core. We'll take the left foot behind us this time. Warrior prep it. Go ahead and kickstand that right foot out behind you and lift the left arm up to the mat. So, yep, so what you'll want, so Annie, can you bring your left leg back a little bit? There you go. You feel that how it's one line? There you go. Yeah. So you got one straight line from here, engaging the core if you would like. You can play with letting that left foot float off the mat. You may find that one side feels different than the other. I know mine does. Finding your Ujjayi breath wherever you are. Notice how that calms the nervous system, even in a hard place. One more breath wherever you are. And then exhale, allow that left foot to find the mat. Come upright onto your right knee. Take that right arm up overhead. Let the toes point up toward the ceiling. Laterally stretch over toward the extended leg. Coming back upright, both arms overhead. Allow both arms to kind of find the mat as you hinge forward, and then you start to lean the hips back toward the heel. And again, you can be up on your forearms. It kind of just depends. You can let the left toes find the mat again so that foot is flat on the mat. But whatever expression of this pose feels good to you. Listen to your body. You can't really do it wrong. One more breath here. And then come back upright into your tabletop position. From here, go ahead and shift the hands a generous hands distance forward. Wait, I move my props around. And shift the shoulders out over the wrist. So you're in really like a modified plank position. And then lower all the way to the mat. From here, go ahead and bring your forearms out in front of you. So your elbows are right underneath your shoulders. See me, we're in Sphinx pose. Let's go, let me go like this so you can see me. So your elbows are out under, I got all kind of stuff back there. It's fine, it's totally cool. Your elbows are out underneath your shoulders. Go ahead and cross the right hand over the left in this Garuda Mudra place. Do it. And then from here, so first just find this little back bend. Take a moment, close your eyes, settle the breath. From here, on an inhale, actually an exhale, inhale and then exhale and lift the belly off the mat a little bit. So your knees, your lower legs, your legs all stay on the mat. You're just lifting the belly up toward the spine. Do you feel that engagement in the lower core? Notice where the shoulders are. They're not involved in this situation. They can relax. The jaw can relax. One more breath here. Exhale, let it go. Just relax your head down. Maybe shift the hips a little bit. Coming back into stillness. And we'll give this one more try. So bringing the elbows underneath the shoulders. Inner fire, ladies. What about it? So here's the deal. You can do that. You can stay right here. Like there's plenty of core engagement that happens just in Sphinx pose. Okay. If you would like to go, you can go back into what we did just a minute ago, or you can tuck the toes and come all the way up onto a forearm plank. So any of those options, you listen to your body, right? So taking a big inhale in, and then on an exhale, tucking the toes if you're going into a forearm plank, or just lifting the pelvis. Regardless of where you are, listening to your body. Can you hold here for 5 breaths? Finding your Ujjayi breath. Coming down if that's what your body says to do. One more breath. Drop it all to the mat. Push back into a child's pose. Well done. In this child's pose, really extend those arms long, stretch out the low back. Pressing into the hands, tuck the toes, and go ahead and lift the hips up and back into downward facing dog. Awesome. Cool. Looking at the knees, allowing the head to hang, shoulders in full extension. One breath here. Looking toward the hands, you can walk your feet back up to meet your hands. Maybe have your blocks at the front of your mat if they're not there already. So finding yourself in this forward fold position with the hands on blocks or on the mat. Look great. Keeping the left hand on the block, go ahead and bend the left knee and extend the right arm up toward the ceiling. So we're in this twisted forward fold. Inhale here, exhale the right hand back toward the block, bend the right knee, lift the left arm. Bring both hands back to the block. Bend the knees a lot, shake the head out. And then on an inhale, slowly roll up to stand. Finding yourself in your mountain. So noticing the feet, rolling them back and forth, forward and back. Finding that place where they are steady and stable. Drawing that line of attention up through the hips. Notice how even just standing here, you find a little bit of core engagement just to hold you up. Concentrating your focus on that center right in the middle of your belly. On an inhale, we'll lift the arms overhead. Exhale, we'll forward fold, hinging at the hips and leading with the heart space. Let the hands find the mat. Step the right foot back into up runner. So the hands can also be on a block. Block, 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 a block. Finding yourself in this up runner, keep the right hand on the mat or on the block. And then open the left arm up for a twist. Yeah, everybody got me? Cool. Inhale here. Exhale, both hands back to the blocks. Go ahead and let the right knee find the mat. Shift the hips back over the right knee. Notice where your hips are. If one is like, I just level them out a little bit. Draw the front heel and the back knee together energetically. So you engage all up through here. Lift the arms overhead. Exhale to goalpost the arms. Inhale the arms back overhead. Reach forward with the right hand and backward with the left. So you're twisting, yep, towards your bent knee. Big inhale here. Big exhale to maybe twist a little bit further. Using the energy of your front heel and your back knee to hold you steady. Inhale the arms back overhead. Exhale them back to the blocks. Go ahead and come back up onto those back toes again. So you're back in up runner. But then turn your foot at about your back foot at about a 45-degree angle. Let the heel find the mat. Perfect. Come up to stand wherever you stand, right? So don't worry about pointing your hips toward the ceiling. You do want your hip points to kind of be level. So if they're like this, level them out. Twist from your core toward the front of the room, toward me, and then lift your arms up for warrior one. You might have to play with your back foot. Go ahead and reach that right arm forward. Reach really, really far forward to find more of that twist. And then lift your arms back overhead for warrior one. Beautiful. Big inhale here, opening the heart space. Exhaling the hands back toward the blocks. Come back up onto your back toes. Because I love you guys, bring your hands down to the mat. Step your left foot back to meet your right. Go ahead and come all the way down onto your mat. Find yourself in your Sphinx pose again with your elbows under your shoulders. Cross your hands if you would like to. And again, we can either take just that pelvis engagement, just lifting the core up toward the spine, that's plenty. Or if you'd like to take a fuller, more expression, you can tuck the toes and lift up into forearm plank. For 5 breaths, finding your Ujjayi breath. Exhaling everything down. Put your hands under your shoulders, press back into child's pose. Pressing into the hands, tucking the toes. We'll lift the hips up and back into downward facing dog again. Looking forward between the hands, walking the feet up to meet the hands, finding yourself in your forward fold. Rolling up to stand. Lifting the arms overhead. Big inhale. Exhale the hands to heart center. Take a moment. Feel the energy. Feel the inner fire. Know that it's burning away all the things that you don't need anymore. Inhaling the arms overhead. Exhale, we'll bend the knees and forward fold. Let the hands find the mat or block. Step the left foot back into up runner. Keeping the left hand on the mat, we'll open the right arm toward the ceiling for a twist. Runner's twist. Making sure to keep that right knee in line. Sometimes it likes to splay out. Another breath here. Bring that right hand back to the block. Go ahead and drop the left knee to the mat. Shift the hips back over the left knee. Energetically pull that front and back leg together. Can tilt the tailbone down toward the earth. Find that stretch in the front of your left hip flexor. The arms overhead. Exhale to goalpost the arms. Lift the arms back overhead on an inhale. Exhale to bring the left hand forward and the right hand back for a twist. So you all are twisting toward the windows. Inhale to grow long. Exhale to release a little bit more into that twist. Inhale to unwind, lift both arms back overhead. Exhale to bring them down to the blocks and come up on the back back toes. You can step that left foot a little bit further out toward the edge of your mat and warrior prep it at like a 45-degree angle, and then come up to stand. The wrong direction. Again, noticing, can you level your hips out even though they don't have to face the same direction, but then take this part of your belly and twist it toward the front of the room. Lifting the arms overhead. Extending that left arm forward, really reaching through it to find that twist. And then lifting the arms overhead again for your warrior one. Breathing here. Exhaling, hands down to the mat, come back up onto the toes. One more time, and then I promise we're done. Come down onto the belly. I should never promise we're done. Come up into Sphinx pose with your elbows under your shoulders. You can find that Garuda Mudra to just engage yourself more. And then from here for 5 breaths, fielder's choice. Stay here. Lift the belly up toward the spine. Tuck the toes and come into forearm plank. Relax it all down with a big exhale. Just rest here for a moment. Maybe pick up the feet and windshield wiper the knees a little bit. Breathe deep. And then bringing the hands under the shoulders. We'll push back into child's pose for just a few breaths. And then coming down to lie on your back. We'll go ahead and with the knees bent, go ahead and cross the right ankle over the left knee. And just rock back and forth a little bit. Take a moment here to check in with your breath. It's given you a lot over the last 40 minutes or so. Can you smooth it out? If you'd like to deepen this stretch, you can bring the left foot off the mat, draw the left leg in toward the chest. Let that left foot find the mat and extend long along the mat. So keeping that right knee pulled in toward the chest. Go ahead and pull that right knee in toward the chest. Extend that left heel long. Extend the left arm up over the head and just really get real long through that left side of the body. And let the low back come off the mat. One more breath here. And you can release like the full extension of it, but keep that right knee. Take it about arm's distance away from the body. So it's like a 90-degree angle. Does that make sense? Your left leg's extended, your right knee's at like a 90-degree angle. Go ahead and twist over toward the left. So let the right knee cross the body. And then let the right shoulder find the mat. The head can turn to the right. Can look straight up ahead, straight up above. Twist like this or like wringing out a washcloth of all the things that you don't need. All the thoughts, opinions, feelings. Inhaling back to center. Go ahead and then let both feet find the mat. Cross the left ankle over the right knee. Just rock back and forth for a minute. You can draw that right leg in toward the chest, finding a deeper stretch in the back of the left hip. Let the right foot find the mat and go ahead and extend long. Draw that left knee in toward the chest. And then bring the right arm up overhead. So extending super long from that right heel out through that right hand. Getting as long as you possibly can get, letting the low back even come off the mat a little bit. Inhaling big. And then let go of that full extension. Bring the left leg to about 90 degrees, about arm's distance away from the body, and then twist over toward the right. Allowing the left shoulder to open back toward the mat. Inhaling back to center. Taking a moment to let both feet find the mat. You can push yourself gently up toward a seat. I'm going to show you a stretch, and there's a variety of options. So this is a very deep stretch for the front of the, you guys probably know it from Renee's class from Yin. However, I don't know, anyway, we have lots of different options. So it's a very deep stretch for the front of your body, which we need when we've done all of that core engagement. So the deepest, the most intense variety of this stretch, you're going to sit on your knees and then just lean back on the bolster. Okay. That if your knees don't flex that way, which lots of people's don't, you can take your blocks and go back into that reclined position. Same thing. You just have a little bit less flexion of the knees. If that's still too much, just extend your legs out long. Does that make sense? So find a place that's good for you. We'll only be here for a couple minutes, but just to really stretch the front of those legs. Yeah, as long as it doesn't hurt your knee to do that. Yeah, don't do it. Just stretch your legs out. It's okay. Yeah, stretch them out long. What we're trying to do is open the front of the body. So if you're reclined, and then if you want to recline, if you have your legs stretched out long, you can remove the block and just stretch out like this, and you're going to find that same opening. Opening this front of the belly. It's like restorative yoga classes, you end up spending like most of your time rearranging props. That's what you end up doing most of it. Wonderful. We'll stay here for 2 minutes. So whatever iteration of this pose you are in, breathe deep into your solar plexus, the front of your core. Feel it rise up toward the sky as you breathe in and fall back toward the earth as you breathe out. As you find yourself here, take a moment just to notice the quality and quantity of your thoughts, of your opinions. Maybe you can choose to turn your attention to that bright space right in the middle of your core and let those thoughts and opinions float away. Feeling the belly lift and fall with each breath. And as we transition to Shavasana, if your legs are already extended, they can just stay extended. If they're tucked up underneath you, you probably want to lengthen them out long in front of you so you don't lose all circulation to your toes. And you can stay propped up on the bolster if that feels good. You can roll off of it and lay flat on the mat. Whatever your body is asking for. You can go back into an inclined position. If you need additional props, raise your hand and I'll come get you what you need. As you settle here, beginning at the heels and the feet, noticing the right foot, the right knee, the right hip, the left hip, the left knee, the left heel, the left toes. Feeling your mid back, your core supported by the earth or the props. Noticing the right lung, the left lung, the right shoulder, the right elbow, the right wrist, the right finger, the left shoulder, the left elbow, the left wrist, the left fingers, the chin, the nose, drawing a line of attention from that space between your eyebrows around the outside of your face, the points meeting back at the tip of your chin. And then just allowing your attention to rest. If it gets pulled away over the next few minutes, invite it back to a place that you can feel in your body. The next few breaths, you can allow the inhale and the exhale to become a little bit deeper. Beginning to bring small movement, wiggling fingers and toes, maybe rolling your head side to side. And then coming back into stillness, either back on your back or curled over onto the side. I read a poem by John O'Donohue called In Praise of Fire. Let us praise the grace and risk of fire. In the beginning, the word was red, and the sound was thunder, and the wound in the unseen spilled forth the red weather of being. In the name of the fire, the flame, and the light, praise the pure presence of fire that burns from within, without thought of time. The hunger of fire has no need for the reliquary of the future. It adores the eros of the now. where the memory of the earth and flames that lick and drink the air is made to release its long enduring forms in a powder of ashes left for the wind to decipher. As air intensifies the hunger of fire, may the thought of death breathe new urgency into our love of life. As fire cleanses dross, may the flame of passion burn away what is false. As short as the time from spark to flame, so brief may the distance be between heart and being. May we discover beneath our fear embers of anger to kindle justice. May courage cause our lives to flame in the name of the fire and the flame and the light. For the next few breaths, use your hands to push yourself up into a seated position, honoring the container that your body created. We'll find ourselves with our hands at heart center, allowing the gaze to drift down toward the fingertips. A moment of gratitude to arise. Thank you all for practicing with me today. Namaste. Thanks, guys. Thanks. That was fun. Thank you all for being here. Send Rhonda the